So I know we've been speaking a little bit about all of this. Matt and I talk about this during the mine print hash thesis exactly. But um, number one, this isn't saying that the digital euro is for sure going to roll out. It's a key approval that they were able to pass, but effectively this does mean that the back half of this year, I believe it's H2 2026. They'll be running a pilot. So there's going to be a digital euro. I believe there's a limited set of banks and things, intermediaries that are going to be plugged in with this digital euro. But the goal here is obviously to try to create this alternative monetary system or this monetary rail that is able to compete with US dollar rails, and some other ones that are out there that I'm gonna let Matt kind of discuss. So, Matt, maybe walk us through what you're seeing with the digital euro, and how does this compare against what other types of advancements we're seeing, both on the US side as well as the let's call it Chinese side.
Mhm. So in this kind of multipolar world, which is just becoming more and more emergent that we're talking about on Mindprint Hash, um, yeah, each one of these regional spheres, like everybody's going to have to go through a currency transition. Like, what's the next iteration? If your currency is a Pokemon, right? What's it going to evolve into? Um, Everybody made a development on this front in their announcements this week, and we got a good kind of milestone or checkpoint for where each one of these players is along that process. Note the one we didn't get an update from Russia. It's kind of like, well, Russia of the major regional spheres, right? So that's kind of a tell.
Yep.
They're going to have to take what they can get because I don't see anything coming out of like a digital ruble or something like that. All right, so leave it like calling that out, but leaving it aside, right? Okay, so this digital euro rollout, um, what they're actually doing, like, so each one of these digital euro or digital dollar or digital you want, whatever, you just add a digital in front of it, right? What does it actually represent? Well, they're all structural changes and they're all slightly different. And then the other thing I'll focus on in each one of these cases, we've got a signal for each one of these on actual market adoption for each one, and I'll get into that. So, first, this digital euro, we talked about it. Like, what is it? It's really a copy paste of the old liability based offshore dollar system. What do I mean by that? It's a two-layer system where you've got a central bank money or base money that sits outside of the private sector. So you as a household or business wouldn't have access to trade, redeem into the central bank money. The same way that right now, if you're a business or household in the US, I don't have access to hold actual Federal reserves, right? They limit who has an account. You got to have a special charter, piece of
Yep.
paper, all of that that gives you access. And as we've seen in other stories we've covered, like there's a battle going on for who has access with the new fintechs, the new issuers, all of that. All right. So with the digital euro, you've got a two-layered scheme, and you can kind of see the tell here the this digital euro layer. They want it to be, when they say digital, it means it'll be on your phone, iOS, Android, whatever. You'll get an app, you'll get an account, and that'll be your money you transact with for actual real economic activity in day-to-day life. But what it actually represents in my mind is it's similar to that offshore dollar kind of liability standard that we're exiting, in the case that like the base money is just an outside um, good. It's a ledger money, but you private sector, you really don't have any access or control. It's still kind of technocratically managed. So it really represents the ECB is going after the CBDC approach, and my view is where I see this going. But notice like the digital euro, as I said, it's still a liability money, but what you're getting here is kind of that same meet the new boss, same as the old type of thing. And I want to call out in this headline or in this Reuters kind of summary, no, it's a 12-month pilot, so it's not even a real launch. It's not actual economic activity. But notice in the opening paragraph, they kind of tell you what they're trying to replace here. And it's supposed to be an electronic means of payment aimed at making the Eurozone less reliant on US credit cards. So you can see what they're trying to supplant here. You got the CBDC at the base layer, and then the second layer, it's actually the think about like the swipes of cards. that we,
Yeah.
Visa, what's in your wallet, or MasterCard. Those are US companies operating, payment, support like at the front end, like the actual customer interaction with merchants, stores, like vendors, et cetera, like on the front lines. Visa Mastercard is what I read is what they're actually tasked with coming up with a disruptive challenger to. Uh, Large network effects at Visa and Mastercard as kind of payment rails issuers. So
Right.
yeah, work in progress. Good luck here, yeah, ECB. Um, you're fighting a deeply entrenched incumbent, and we live in a world where everybody wants the dollar at the end of the day. All right, next up, China. They also made an announcement that they've signed up 26 financial institutions for their own kind of cross-border settlement service, real time, 24/7, all of that for the digital yuan. They call this system cross border ECNY transfer services, or CBETS. Um, that acronym, probably the letters will make sense in Mandarin Chinese, I'm guessing. Uh, so I don't see it. Oh, yeah, yeah, it is. It's cross border ECNY
Yeah.
transfer services. It's just a
Yeah. It's
weird
just yeah.
jumble of words. All right, now I get it. All right. Um, but yeah, it's supposed to be. It's the same thing. It's cross border settlement, but it's like between merchants and then the banks, and then they settle at the central bank level for overseas financial transactions. What you're trying to do is expand your regional sphere of where your currency, is accepted as money that will spend within an economic regional sphere, right? But I saw one participant here as the first foreign bank to sign on, and highlighted here, Standard Chartered Bank, London special. That's kind of your tell here at who's developing this one. So still a lot to be desired, but this does represent, if you're thinking about like different projects, right? And you're seeing like that meter from 0 to 100% completion. 100% means it's like live in public and you've actually generated real private sector adoption for your product. All right, digital euro is nothing. It's all vaporware at this point. It's a hope and a dream.
It's
We're going to
alpha
launch
at
the beta.
best right now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is like, okay, we've got 26 financial institutions signed on. Now, can we get the merchants? All right. Well, there's different ways of doing that.
TBD.
Okay, so
Yep.
you're further along on that curve, and then you go to the US, and we're like, oh, this is awesome. Um, this is the headline we've been waiting for, in my opinion. It just showed up today, June 25th. US stablecoin giant Circle to start the settlement business with Nomura, per Nikkei Asia, right? The Asian Wall Street Journal. Just side note here, the views on X, when we were considering putting in the post from the Nikkei Asia account, it had 2,500 views total, like on X, which just tells you. So Nikkei Asia is the English version of Nikkei, which is, think of them as like your Wall Street Journal, um, headline outlet or
Of
media
Japan. Yep.
publication. That's kind of your tell here, in my opinion, that there's very little views, if like relative to how important this story is. Like, we set this up in the mind print hash framework, talked about it a lot. I think the US, like investment public, is still it tells you how below the radar all of these trends are still operating, right? So where the puck is going, like there's still a lot more like catch up to do, I think, for the investment public, and us wrapping our heads around what's in Japan. If you look at the chart of the Nikkei index, right, it's up at like ridiculous amounts in the last year. Um, Yet everybody's focused on the JGBs or the JPY exchange rate, all of that, not realizing this is an equity bull market underway. And then that integration between this new dollar that the US is transitioning to. We talked about the liability definition of the dollar, the offshore dollar, giving way to the asset-based definition dollar of the stablecoin dollar. That's coming, right? Um, we're still very early in that process, in my opinion. So yeah, the announcement here was they'll start accepting payments, or settlement of cross-border, payments, and then also securities trading. Namura, if for those not familiar, as a Japanese financial institution, it's their largest investment bank
Yep.
in the Japanese market, or securities focused financial institution. Um, So this, in my mind, represents real private sector adoption. Like, I mean, I don't know, governments may have like said, hey, you should do this, but this is voluntary private sector adoption, profit motivated, incentivized, all of that. We've talked about the links, all the geopolitics, the reconfiguration of international trade, and then the complement of that on the other side of the coin is the payment rails and financial settlement. That's this story right here. So huge development. Been waiting for this bullish headline. Um, you like what you see. It's like Christmas in July for for mind print hash and what we've been watching.